guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and you know they are really groovy. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and we know they are really groovy.
And we are very groovy, and we are here. We are simulcasting.
We are live.
We are live.
Sorry, we're a little late, folks. The social media police are after us.
Yeah. We're just having a lively discussion backstage, and and we're all drunk, so that doesn't help.
Look at that face. Look at that face. He is not happy.
I am not happy.
He is not happy at all.
I am not happy.
Tell us why,
I'm the first to admit it. I'm even the second to admit it.
So,
I might even be the third to admit it. Shall I say why? Or shall I just quietly sit here and be unhappy?
Let us. No. Unload yourself.
The algorithmic a-holes at YouTube. I had a guest on 2 weeks ago who is the former girlfriend of Lee Harvey Oswald. Still alive. Been living as an expat in Sweden for 30 years. Decides to come out and talk about who really did what and all of that. The JFK thing will stay alive for another 1,000 years, probably. This is on FCC regulated public radio in Los Angeles. So not a problem, even during a pledge drive to raise money for public radio. How squeaky goddamn clean can it possibly be? Well.
Squeaky goddamn clean.
It's very clean. You can't say things like tinkle without getting in trouble. You can't even, it's just so squeaky clean.
Oh, that's a strike.
That's a strike, yes. So it live streams as video to YouTube. And oh my God, I have caused egregious medical harm to the world. Now, I'm not saying anything. This is this woman who worked in a lab with Oswald, working on some kind of cancer, weaponizing cancer for the government to get rid of Fidel Castro in 1962 under the Kennedy administration, tied into his assassination. But it doesn't matter. She could say all this other stuff. It's not, the problem was she said, well, those mRNA vaccines, we really don't know what's in them. That we just don't know what's in those vaccines. Oh my God. Woo! YouTube comes crashing down. Now, how do I get not one, but two strikes? When you get three, they remove your channel forever.
You just got two again. Sorry.
Which means you can't live stream until you get 10 million followers again, all of this crap. And I have a special partner thing with them because it's public radio, for God's sake. So, because it originally it's over the radio, we simulcast as a video stream on YouTube. Then when I post it as a podcast, it goes through as an audio podcast on YouTube, which is part of what they're doing now. They're now running audio podcasts. So the same thing gets a strike as a video and then as audio, even though I deleted the audio and the video. It doesn't matter. So I'm
very
just
Orwellian.
And it's not like there's a person there going, I see what happened. Oh, I get it. It's an interview. It's a news. No, it's just the word vaccine and I don't know, said by an 80-year-old woman with Coke bottle glasses. Come on.
Robot picks it up. And Skynet shuts you down.
And Skynet shuts you down. I don't even know. And I tried to, what do you call it? I tried to appeal this, but you can't appeal it in writing. You can just say, check it again and make sure that it violates your conditions. You can't write a statement. because I would just say it streams and then it turns into audio. Therefore, it's the same thing twice. It's not like I did it twice. I can't say anything. I can't explain this to them. All I could say is, "Are you sure? Check it again." So.
Well, we sorry I kick in the ads like that.
I know. Anyways,
both
I'm
of
going to improve my mood here because nobody cares.
I care. No, I'll tell you why I care. I'll tell you why I care. Because it's not because what Cary's talking about is he's talking about context. And these AI things and these algorithms and these people that we pay for quality control in Thailand who sometimes don't even speak English. That's the truth, literally. They're missing the context. So he and they're not allowing people to make their own connections that they should be able to make. And at the same time, they're allowing all kinds of crap in that is actually offensive and is actually stuff that would like harm humanity. And so it's not balanced. And that's the problem. And I think everyone needs to care about this because it's not about this particular issue, of course. It's about the fact that these strikes are happening more and more and more and more and more. And, if you care at all about free speech or contextual freedom or having any sort of diversity on the planet, I'm interested in diversity. What can I tell you? I'm not afraid of some idiot saying some ridiculous thing. I'm not afraid of it. In fact, I want to know that these people are saying this stuff because you know why? Let me tell you. Now, the people that get flagged for stupid shit, they have like a cool vibe to them, and then people flock to them and they think it's more powerful than it really is. Like this, oh wow, this is secret stuff. That really resonates with like 14-year-old boys somewhere. They're
You're so cool, Cary.
Wow, now Cary actually is cool because he actually does get banned by he's on the
by
blacklist
important
of
people.
right. But that's a separate issue, and so it works against us too. Like we don't want to laud and make more interesting people who say ridiculous things. I think it's the algorithms need to change, and we need to trust people to understand context. Like Cary was saying, you can tell by the source what you're dealing with.
Well, we need to start saying more ridiculous things then.
And also, if YouTube, they'd have to actually pay a live human to look at the context, and they're not going to do that. So this is free. It costs them nothing to operate this way. And, what are they? It doesn't matter to them. But I need to figure out a way to properly appeal this and let them know the context that it was on FCC regulated on a news fucking public radio program. We weren't like measuring dick sizes here.
Yeah,
well, maybe we were.
Well, even Howard Stern got away with that for decades. That's how he made his millions.
You would expect Howard Stern to get that kind of strike.
Yeah.
And this is because
we got more lesbians here, folks.
An octogenarian going, I'm not sure I know what's in those things. Oh my God. Now, had she said, I'm 90 and I don't know, but that's context again. We would say, well, of course she doesn't know. She's 90. The bots don't care. It's
81.
So if anyone knows how to properly appeal, if there's a way other than just clicking a button where they just say recheck it and make sure that your bot didn't do a bad job, that's all I'm allowed to do. I can't explain it. I can't bring it before anybody and say anything.
Well, actually, when I went into, I was getting strikes for copyright for playing certain music.
This is different. Those aren't even strikes. Those are just, oops, bad boy. We're going to just take the monetization away or maybe even remove the video. These are strikes. These are like 2. One more, the account is forever permanently closed, your entire history erased, never to be brought back. This is for like burning down a village. This is not a copyright strike. This is a community guideline strike. This is like trafficking children on video. Same shit. Although they probably allow that, frankly, if a senator is doing it.
Don't get him started on Lindsey Graham.
Lady G. Lady G.
Lady G. Yeah.
We'll get 2 more strikes for sure.
I don't know.
Now we're getting a strike for our little movie show here.
Well, we sure haven't talked about movies, have we?
Not yet, but hey, you know.
Yeah, well, we'll get to it.
Evening's young.
Yeah. All right. Well, shall we actually?
When we last left off, we were on number 4. We were just about to start number 4. I had talked about John Carpenter's The Thing. That was my number 3.
Yeah. We should have had
We're
it
gonna
previously on Two Guys and a Gal talking about movies. All right. So, sorry. What was your number 4?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, Cary. I mean, yeah, you're a guest. The guest always goes first.
Mm-hmm.
So your question is, my hair is so screwed up. I
What
put
was
this
your number
like
4 pick?
this clay stuff in it, as opposed to the regular goo, and it's like stuck in this crazy.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tell Cary what his number 4 was.
Yeah,
I'm
what is
gonna,
your number 4?
This was his number 4.
Kind of where he is right now.
I love this one.
Okay.
I love this one.
The Abyss.
The Abyss.
The Abyss.
Okay. So
Yeah.
The Abyss, when the original movie was released, The Abyss, it was done by James Cameron, who did Aliens number 2, which
Second one,
somebody
yeah.
liked last week. He did, of course, the generally unfortunate, I want to say Poseidon, but I don't mean that, Titanic. I mean, it was fun in 3D, but please, the rest of it, oh my God, sitting through that. Yep, I mean it, and I'm saying it right here. I was dating
at the time that movie came out. I had to sit through it 3 times.
You poor bastard.
3
freaking
times.
James Horner, who's was a talented composer. What a boring, like, is that his swan song? Yeah. So The Abyss was back when he was still rock and rolling. He hadn't done any of the ones with the water creatures yet, which are great because they're metaphors. Here's what happens when corporate interests go in somewhere, and it's just colonizing. It's the same thing we've done all over Earth, but it's in outer space. You go in, these generally simple creatures that live somewhere end up losing all their trees and water and air, and the military is in there pounding the crap out of everything and just takes what they want and leaves nothing left but burnt ash. History repeats itself. So what was cool about The Abyss is it was the day the Earth stood still in a modern era. So this is what, 1989, I want to say, 1990, 1991, whenever this movie was made. And the 20th Century Fox told him that he could only make a 1 hour, basically 58-minute movie. So that what you saw in the theater, if you saw The Abyss in the theater, what a horrible movie. What a horrible movie. Jesus.
That's what I saw.
Yeah, horrible movie. Me too.
And I agree.
Like, suddenly at the end, aliens come up from the ocean floor in a pink thing, and like, what is this? Why? And it's not explained. So he re-releases the director's cut. That's what I'm talking about. The director's cut. The director's cut has 40 more minutes to it. 40 more minutes. Oh, now you find out that these aliens who've been living under the ocean floor for thousands of years have been monitoring all of us naughty people up here, and they start sort of showing all the different wars that we've been involved in and how we cannot be trusted with weapons. And so it's an anti-nuke movie that unless we stop a full cessation of all hostilities, they will, and you only see this in the director's cut. It's not in the regular movie. They create tsunamis on every single coastline in the world. So suddenly giant waves are up there, just hanging, giant, like 500-foot tall waves, cresting but not collapsing, surrounding every beach, every ocean, every city in the world, just hanging. And we have to like cut the shit or whoosh, splash, there goes New York, there goes San Francisco, there goes London, there goes wherever in the world, Tokyo, all of it, every city. And so it's a giant thing, and it's being done by these creatures that are underwater, and we don't know where they live, but we discover they're there because a giant hurricane and an oil rig under the water, way down. Well, okay, let me just add another part in so that it sort of makes sense. Oil rig, so we get the oil companies in there. We get that part, the evil guys, underwater oil rig. There is a hurricane and there is a nuclear sub. This is how it starts. The nuclear sub gets smashed for whatever reason or hit. It sinks. Everyone dies and drowns. Well, it's got nukes in it. And these guys come down, these like Navy SEALs come down underwater. They get on the oil rig and their job is to go out and retrieve the nuclear warheads. But if you don't do proper decompression, as you go way deep into the ocean, you can get kind of crazy. You know, it's like the bends, but sort of in reverse. And your hands start shaking. And and one of them starts to go crazy and decides that he needs to take the nuke and hold it hostage. That's when these underwater creatures say that's the line. And that's when they do the waves around the whole world. And it is an amazing movie. It is just an amazing movie. And one guy saves the day. It's all major actors, big 20th Century Fox film. One saves the day because he loves his ex-wife. And they're divorced, but he's willing to sacrifice. I'm getting choked up. Willing to sacrifice his life to save hers and everyone else. And that's the part the aliens, needed to see to like undo this stuff. And it is just a brilliant director's cut of The Abyss. It is never the movie you saw in the theater. Has nothing to do with that movie. The reason they made Cameron do the short version in the movie theaters is you get an extra play. You can run the movie one more time in a day and we'll make another $1 million. And who cares if the movie's good or not? Well, that's why they do it.
Yeah. So,
well, I will obviously have to see that version of the film because
totally
what I saw was the short version, and I was like, "This is James Cameron. This sucks."
Totally different. Yeah,
that's what I was saying to the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like let's have James Cameron direct it and then cut him and all of his directing out of it. But let's just use his name on the marquee and see if it sells.
The Abyss.
The Abyss director's cut. Director's cut. Different movie now, Gregory. Different movie. Yes.
Yes. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, Ed Harris.
Right.
Michael Biehn. One of the best villains.
Yeah, he's the one.
Or Evil Kyle Reese, as I like to call him. So, yeah. I have to admit, I did see the theatrical version, and I actually liked it for what it was. But now that you've mentioned the special edition, I'm gonna have to change my mind now.
What we missed.
what all we missed. Yeah.
Gregory has seen both. Which one did you like better, Greg?
Well, they're two entirely different movies. Like they're literally different and complete. And it's almost unique that a director's cut is an entirely different movie. Generally, it's like extra footage, more dialogue. Here they are, driving a car. Ooh, that was worth paying $5 to see them. Yeah, we threw in the part in the parking lot. No, this is a different edit. They re-edited the movie into his original movie, not what the studio had edited it down to, so they could crunch it down to, under 2 hours. So it is, but it's powerful. If you appreciate film as a mechanism to discuss important topics that are not discussed on the TV set, that are not discussed on CNN or MSNBC or Fox or Newsmax or YouTube if it isn't giving you a strike or 2 strikes in 1 week for the same product that happened to be the audio version and the video version. Have I gotten over it? No. Am I going to get over it? No. Am I going to try to appeal? Yes. We just have to figure out how to do that.
It's a good thing you're not bitter about it, Cary.
Yes, thank you, Manny. You're right. Good thing I've let it go. You see,
Just let it
completely.
go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it
Let it
go.
go.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But yeah. Okay. So Rory, what's your number 4?
Oh, you're not going to do yours? Okay, I was last time, so
Yeah, I'll go last.
okay. There was a movie that came out around 69, 70, had Bruce Dern in it, and it was called Silent Running. And
Okay,
it had a lot of commentary in it about Earth becoming lifeless, and then them sending vegetation out in space, and then the company decides to pull the plug on the program, and they're going to kill the last, living plants and fauna, that's left from the Earth. And Dern is fantastic in it. They have these little robot droids, Huey, Louie, and Dewey, in the film that are just really cool. And I liked it the first time I saw it. I was actually drunk at a party one night, and I had passed out, and that was playing on the TV when I woke up, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's Silent Running!" And I immediately came to and immediately sobered up.
Wow.
Because that was on the TV, and they were amazed that I
Yeah,
had
how do you
sobered up,
like?
and I was
Look at the drunk guy. He sobered up. Like he sobered up in 4 minutes. How did that happen?
over a movie.
Medically, you should have gone to the hospital and said, "I don't know how it
They
works."
had slipped me some speed. That's why I had
Oh,
passed out.
okay.
So they were really amazed that I was able to come out of all of that and see this movie and start talking about this movie.
The power of cinema.
Well, yeah. They used to call them books, but this is modern day, so this is what we have, and books.
Yeah.
Thank God. Think of the major books that have been game changers for society. Like, how would we have really understood the King of England? Remember, our revolution, Gulliver's Travels, was written right around that time, all about this crappy king. And all of this helped us feel the ammunition to go and have independence from this bastard. That Jonathan Swift wrote a whole book about him and his people. Yeah.
Right.
Wizard of Oz, which we talked about earlier. L. Frank Baum. It was about the federal government, the Wicked Witch of the East, the Wicked Witch of the West being the Dust Bowl, Dorothy being the poor, beleaguered Kansan farmer. That was her metaphor. And that originally in the book, she was to be wearing silver shoes because the whole book was about getting on the silver standard to back up the U.S. government. This was important back then. I mean, we were sort of in free fall financially, and it was about getting on the silver standard. But MGM tried to shoot silver shoes on Judy Garland, and they just kind of vanished over yellow brick. Silver on yellow doesn't pop. So they decided red, baby, ruby red. Woo! Technicolor. Woo! Yeah.
Well, a lot of people make
remember,
decisions without having brains, Dorothy.
Yes.
I remember seeing Silent Running in the theater and just loving this movie. And so I read up on it after, many years later. They shot the whole thing in an old airplane hangar that they created. The ship, a lot of the ship was actually a decommissioned aircraft carrier, and the droids, the little robots, there was amputees inside the machinery. They were actually like walking on their hands and all that stuff. So I thought that was just fascinating. But
we
anyway.
we the audience didn't see amputees inside of robot costumes. Is that what you're saying? Those are the people they got that could fit
in the costumes themselves. Yeah. No, you saw there were these little boxy machines with legs and things.
How do you? I want to be the casting director for that particular call. Amputees. I mean, this is back when the midget amputee sex thing was, I guess, big on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I hear they like to get liquored up on the weekends too.
So you put out
You're perfect.
You put out to all the agents. It's called the breakdowns, and they go out every day. And the agents have their people they represent that fit whoever they're casting for. How do you do a breakdown for an amputee?
That's a good question.
Without it being sensitive. And how many agents actually go, "Oh, an amputee, hold on, let me book you.
I happen to have one. Wait,
I can make a pile off of this. You're going to be like in everything." Yeah, it's
well. I mean, the same thing. Well, when for a lot of different war movies, but like Saving Private Ryan had a lot of amputees. And a lot of war movies do. When they're a little more graphic and they show arms and legs being blown off or whatever, people laying, and it's just easier to get somebody who actually has already a missing limb than to try to do the whole digital.
You're casting not for them to be on camera. You're casting on them to get into a costume.
Yeah, so I get that. Yeah,
your client will not be seen.
No, you said Private Ryan. Yeah, you could actually see their faces. And in Return of the Living Dead, they had an amputee that did a gnarly walk on his arms toward one of the characters.
Just say they gathered him from Sunset Boulevard? Is that what they said? What did they say from Sunset something?
Can we go back? There you go.
They had signs.
They're from Sunset. They had signs. Hire me, please.
If you haven't been to LA in a while, he's right. It's exactly what they do.
Yeah. So, I missed my calling. Anyway. All right. Yeah. So great choice. Yeah. One of those great 70s sci-fi movies. All right. So speaking of 70s, so my number 4 is Soylent Green. Charlton Heston.
Soylent Green is made from people.
Exactly. Yeah. And it reminded me that Heston starred in 2 movies that probably had some of the best twist endings ever. Of course, Planet of the Apes and Soylent Green.
Yeah.
So for a while, Heston was kind of almost a go-to guy for a lot of sci-fi for a while.
Omega Man.
Omega Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was another one.
Chuck, remember, you had to wrench a gun out of his cold, dead hands.
Cold, dead hands.
So while he was sort of in the peak of his world there, he had an apartment in West Hollywood, and he had a Native American tenant, living there, and Chuck would spend Thursday nights in his apartment with his tenant. And that's how he did it. And then he'd go back to the Valley during the week and be a right-wing lunatic. But he had quite a thing. And in fact, if you talk to some of the very old production people in LA that used to work on the sets with him in different movies, he was notorious for being in hotels back, you're shooting a movie, it can take 3-4 weeks and you're staying in a hotel. He loved to order room service. Who doesn't love to order room service? But maybe you don't order it in your boxer shorts with male people serving it. I mean, it doesn't matter who serves it, but he knows who's serving it. And so these guys would serve, they'd come up with a tray with all the metal lids on it and all this shit. And there's Chuck in his boxers, opens the door, says,
"Hey, what are you going to do with that staff, Moses?"
Yeah, come on in. And then closes the door behind him. And I don't know what the success rate is or not, but it had to be sufficient for him to keep doing that. And they
had to be better than Travolta.
Nuts.
That's my guess.
The production people, I mean, there weren't NDAs back then. You just didn't, everyone knew and they laughed, but you just kind of, you're all getting paid to be here. So you're not going to kill the golden goose that's making your movie. But they would talk and laugh about it. And then the hypocrisy, I think, is what got everyone, is that he would just suddenly, be off the set and hug the NRA and just go after everybody while he was having a double life in West Hollywood while he was doing room service. And then when his son came out, remember Dickie, what was his son? Richard.
Oh,
Heston?
Richard. Well, no. I'm thinking, is it Chuck Heston's son? One of the other ones. But it doesn't matter.
They're all,
It's all the
those
same.
Hollywood
Same
people.
story.
Let
They're
my
just-
boxers go.
Poor Chuck. Poor misunderstood Chuck.
Yeah.
Can't we all just be in the closet and get along?
Exactly.
That's the way to do it. Just everyone be in the closet, do your thing, get along, don't talk about it, look the other way, and then just beat the hell out of everyone during the daylight. Because why not?
Shove Tom Cruise aside, So the other thing about that's okay. The other thing about Soylent Green is it's Edward G. Robinson's last movie. He was dying of cancer, I believe, and regardless of whatever else Chuck Heston did or didn't do in his life, he made sure that Edward G. Robinson, from what I've read, that he was comfortable in his last days. And I didn't know this at the time. So when I saw the movie and we get to his death scene where he's euthanized in order to move the plot along, really. And to find out later that he actually died in real life, not too long after the movie came out, it was like, wow, that was just it hit a little bit. Watching it again, it hits a little harder when you get to that scene, knowing that he really was facing his end. And
where's your Messiah now?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because he remembered from what because apparently Heston remembered Robinson from doing the Ten Commandments.
Yeah,
and he kind of took him under his wing, so to speak, and because he was, he was already a classic actor at the time, and Heston was not starting out, but he was the younger guy in that troupe or that cast. So Heston sort of returned the favor when he found out that Robinson was dying of cancer or whatever. So, but regardless of all that, it's still a good movie. It's kind of it operates as a crime thriller, but then we see this future, this dystopian future where and again it's a metaphor for the haves and the have-nots, and we talk about eating the rich. Well, here they're eating the poor, quite literally.
McSoylent at the Green Arches.
Exactly, yeah. So it's a look at a very sort of very possible future, and it's based on a book called Make Room, Make Room, and it also tackles just really the book and the movie was really about
good call on the title
overpopulation, but there's all these other things involved as well, like the rich sort of sequestered in their own separate, I mean literally behind a wall, and the poor having to struggle and living in these overcrowded conditions, and then to find out that they're shuffled off and turned into food and sold back to them. It's just holy cow, wow. That's so anyway, it's a very impactful movie.
A precursor to today's fast food.
Basically, yeah.
Think about it. We're not that far off. Take LA, where somebody commented earlier on going up to Sunset Boulevard. Take LA, where just a couple of years ago they were euthanizing about 250,000 dogs and cats a year. Now, what happens to the euthanized dogs and cats? You sort of don't think about it. Oh, I don't know. They dispose of them. There. I never have to think about it again. Well, here's what they were doing. They were putting them in a giant hopper and creating something called slurry, which is if you put 250,000 dogs and cats in a giant blender, you end up with slurry. Then you sell that off to the giant agribusiness where all the cattle are raised. Now, cattle are vegetarians. The cow likes grass. He likes a leaf now and then, maybe some hay, whatever. He's a vegetarian. He cannot digest high-level, complicated proteins like that, nor does a cow crave dead cats. Cows don't crave beagles either. So this slurry was, I know, the one you have does. But, so they would force feed these cows with tubes down their throats, force feed them these dead, ground up cats and dogs because they're getting a ton of protein in there, which creates more meat, which is more edible. Problem is, if you guys remember mad cow disease some years ago, do you remember that being talked about?
Oh, yeah.
If they were force feeding me dogs and kitties, I'd be pretty damn mad too.
Yes, you would. Yeah, not angry cow, like cuckoo cow. Bovine spongiform encephalopathy. And so these cows were getting this concentrated protein called a prion. And we all have prions in us. But if you get too many prions, you get Korsakoff, or not Korsakoff's, you get this spongiform encephalopathy. We get it too. But the cows were getting it because they weren't supposed to be cannibalizing pets. They're supposed to be eating vegetables. So they're being given high concentrates. So it bioaccumulates. The more dogs and cats you grind up, the more prions you're going to get in concentration. You force them into a cow. The cows get mad cow disease, and it's terrible. And their meat is full of prions. You eat that as a person, you can get the same syndrome. And so they got busted. They didn't get busted for how it happened, but a cow got busted for having it. And we purposely had sent it to Canada to make it go bye-bye. And then blamed the Canadians, if you remember. And then people stopped buying Canadian beef, one of their major exports, because the Canadians refused to support one of our little wars. So we punished them good that way. So your dogs and cats, really, it's like Soylent Green. You have to sort of figure out what happens when they, whoever they are in charge, are doing big things or handling big things. How are they handling it from beginning to end? And you find out Soylent Green has been happening for decades already. It's just you and I have not been, that we know of, fed dogs and cats, that we know of. I mean, there is Dinty Moore beef stew and other things that have curious ingredients. It just says meat on the side. Meat. Now, meat could be anything, couldn't it? Or what is that booze it's wine that says fortified with meat? Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's like Ripple, but it's worse. It's wine? Like that. Yeah, you can buy it at the liquor store, and it's just a wine. It's a wino's wine, but on the label, 2020. Yes, I think maybe it's Mad Dog. Maybe
it says Mad Dog on the label,
and it says on the top in a little kind of glow burst logo. It says fortified with meat, and that way you can live on it for as long as you will. Yeah, so that's thoughtful of the wine industry to fortify their wine with meat so that homeless people can get nutrition from this diet.
So like 2020.
See, there you go. What happened to our homeless population? Don't ask. Here, have some.
They're on the corner with Mad Dog.
Have some meat. Oh my goodness.
It's got meat. Get Robert Mitchum to do the commercial. It's what's for dinner.
Yeah, and after he died, Sam Elliott took his place. Because we need somebody with a deep voice.
Soylent Green, it's what's for dinner.
Hungry hippos disease.
Hungry hippos disease.
You guys know that? Hungry hippos disease?
No, I know the game.
I haven't heard of it either.
Counts as an app.
Oh my gosh.
And is there a hippo disease that's that bad that we have a name?
Hungry Hippos is a game.
Oh, I'll bet it is.
Making a riff on the name of a game, a Hungry
yeah,
Hippos.
Yeah.
All right, number 5. We've reached number 5. Cary?
I don't remember, my friend, but Renee does.
Renee?
There you go, Renee.
Because she knows all. So this is the original.
Yes.
George Powell, the
Mhm.
Time
Rod
Machine.
Taylor.
Robert Taylor, yeah.
Rod with a D. Rod Taylor.
Rod Taylor, right? Yeah.
I think
Yes.
I think the thing that I liked about it so much.
That's what made him a star.
Yeah. It was believable in its own way. It's believable in its own way, and the book, of course.
Except for his friend's Scottish accent. Helen Young, what books would you take, George?
Alan Young.
But Sebastian Gabbitt, very believable.
Yeah, Sabby before he did Family Affair. I think it was a way for in the 1950s for them to talk about stuff that they couldn't because the government was chasing communists and gays and trade unionists and everything else. And so this movie took the H.G. Wells concept, but also made it was able to sort of show what the Morlocks were. The Morlocks lived underground. This is after nuclear apocalypse. And they had grown up and they were or evolved as these horrible creatures that would steal the lovely Nordic blonde people up on the surface.
Eloy.
Well, the Eloy, yes.
The Eloy.
But you see,
yeah.
it was
Weena.
Yvette Mimieux. Yeah.
What can you teach me, George? Oh.
well,
How much time do we have? Oh, no.
So when you go deeper,
All the time in the world,
deeper
George.
than the obvious, you see that they're making a point that the evolved people in the world are these lovely, Nordic blonde creatures, and the unlovely people are anyone who's not checking that box. But that you should eat the lovely blonde people because they have more nutrition. Otherwise, the Morlocks would have eaten each other, wouldn't they? So there's a whole lot of messaging in there, but they're not saying it's good. They're just demonstrating the way that the world was working at that time. And remember, this movie was made just over 10 years after World War II. So the whole Nazi ideology is right there. The Morlocks and the Eloi. The Eloi are the master race. The Morlocks are the other, except the other strikes back and eats the Eloi. So it had a lot of what's the word for that? It's a kind of satisfaction. There's a word for it.
Schadenfreude.
Yes, it's like Schadenfreude. Catharsis.
Catharsis. Yeah.
Catharsis for so many people to like fix this wrong, which was fixed somewhat in Nuremberg and fixed somewhere this and that, and Hogan's Heroes was a way that they were trying to fix it too, by making the Nazis comedy and stupid. That was a way of fixing it. Like, yeah, like here they are, they're buffoons. Like they really nothing could be that bad and just make them look stupid. So that was cathartic too. And this movie was a very subtle way of showing that catharsis in 1959. So a lot of these movies have layers that we don't imagine. We just see them as kind of evolving sci-fi movies, but they always have a deeper message, which is why sci-fi is important. It's the only one that really speaks to what we're going through and where we may end up going.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Where we may end up going. The other ones don't make predictions. It's the Kim Kardashian drives around, has her beaver shaved. Then we sell the hairs on eBay. The husband decides he's going to change his gender because he's a former Olympian and their ratings are going down. People have stopped watching their reality shows. So let's take one of them and let's just flip their gender on TV and make 140 million off of that. And now he's decided maybe he made a mistake. Apparently he talked to God. Did you know that? He had a conversation with God or Jesus. One of the two talked to him and said, Caitlin, maybe we were a little quick on the trigger here. Maybe you should rethink this proposition.
You still got my penis on ice?
I think you still got it. I don't think they cut it off.
Oh, really?
Had they cut it off, we'd all know, wouldn't we? Isn't that the one and only thing 100% of everyone wants to know is, so how committed are you to this? How committed? Yeah, we would have all known. We would have seen pictures. They would have had pictures for sure. Oh, yeah. The Kardashians, please. They would have had a whole episode of find the Tadger, hunting for sausage. We lost it, and it's in the hospital somewhere. We can't find it. It's on a gurney under a sheet.
We can't find Daddy's penis.
Oh my goodness.
Kanye, can you help us look for the penis?
No.
No.
Well, I want to add about the time machine. Going back to the time machine.
I love how Manny just he gets
right back to it. I love it.
The seamless, gentle segue.
Okay.
There's
we'll get back to it.
It's just it's smooth. You just forget that we were even talking about something else and put the train right back on the track.
The Kardashians.
Yeah.
So speaking of the time machine, I always looked at it as it's really. I think Wells wanted it to be about the class struggle. I think he saw the Eloi as the privileged, the wealthy, the aristocracy, the monarchy, sort of the idle rich, and the Morlocks were the working. They were the working class, man. They were down there in the bowels doing the stuff. They were the ones who were technologically still knowledgeable, while the Eloi just sort of fluffing, just doing nothing, just living.
Like today's world.
Eating fruit. Just like today. Eating fruit. Yeah. They didn't care where it came from. They didn't know where it came from. It was just there. Ooh, look, food from somewhere. We don't know where it comes from. Like it could be ground up dogs and cats. We don't know, and we don't care. And meanwhile, the Morlocks are like, "Hey, right, let's get to it, then, right, there you go."
Get more. Morlocks got technical schools under the ground.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. This is a gear, right? You put it here, you twist it, and then stuff happens. Oh, all right. Yeah. And why they have Cockney accents all of a sudden, I don't know, because I just like.
Yeah, because they were Scottish a minute ago, like his friend.
Well,
George, I'm gonna be Eloi. And I screwed up that. I'm gonna be a Morlock someday.
There you go.
That brings up whatever happened to back in that era. The English sounded like they were speaking the English that we grew up, the Walt Disney version of English, not the Cockney English, but the Julie Andrews, the Rex Harrison, these stripped of horrible regional sounds. And it was like really kind of nice, clean English. Even the World War II movies. Yes, but they all just spoke English. And now, like BBC, it's a cynical move. You get these like heavy, thick dialects from all over on the BBC, and they think, oh, that's because the people that would never listen to BBC are going to hear their own sound and start listening. Listen, they're not listening. They're not going to suddenly start listening because, oh, there's my dialect. No, too late. You're like 20 years too late. It's bull. But that's why they say they do it. They say so it's more inclusive. So it's BS. Because it's actually not sucking in those people. It's just making the guilty people that still watch the BBC or listen to it think that it's somehow all inclusive. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing in movies too now. Like I almost can't stand watching, and I love British movies. I love TV. It's well written and all that, but I have to use subtitles. And I never used to because the English was really clean. But now it's just chaotic and crappy and mumbly and shitty. Yeah, like I have to use subtitles for American English half the time too. Yeah. I think part of it, though, let me ask you guys. I think part of it is because whoever mixes the audio now that we have 8-10 channels and Dolby Atmos, they don't mix it into mixed mono like it used to be, where the dialogue was the top layer, and then everything else was sound effects and music underneath. They mix it, and if your audio, your surround processor isn't mixed the same way that Timmy in Burbank mixed it, you're not going to be able to hear the dialogue at all.
Right. Yeah.
Do you guys ever experience that?
Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Well, that's why there's on a Amazon Fire Stick or something, there's like a dialogue enhancement.
Yeah.
You never needed to click dialogue enhancement. Now there's on Amazon Prime, there's dialogue boost, there's dialogue medium, there's dialogue boost high. So this is not my imagination here. It's like
no. There's an actual thing, and I hate that I have to start so many conversations like this because I just have to go back and actually look at it. But I've actually read an entire breakdown of it. This is intentional. They have changed the production for dialogue in movies and television, and there's a whole reason behind it having to do with marketing and with all kinds of shit. And I always forget the reason, but yes, it's intentional. And so we're using closed captioning more often. All the young people are using closed captioning to understand. I can't understand what the hell anyone is saying if I don't have closed captioning. So it's not just you, it's not just me. There's something going on, and I'll Google it after this, and we'll figure it out. But yeah,
I'd love to know, because that would be an interesting thing to discuss. Yeah. What is the marketing upside of getting of making it hard to hear the dialogue where you are using closed captioning? Does the closed captioning release endorphins? Does it make people watch more longer? Like, there is a reason. It's not like, oh yeah, what a great idea, let's just have them like turn on subtitles, because people love that shit. Like your grandmother, she turns them on because she can't hear any of it. But now younger people have to, because it's, talking like this is mumbling, and I mean, we all sound like Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton.
Well, part of it too is just the switch. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, so here's one quick reason why. There's multiple reasons, but one of the reasons is, how they put, how on television they have the commercials much louder than the regular programming, so to get your attention if you're going to the kitchen or whatever. So when they have the dialogue low, then in certain movies and TV stuff, when they want to bring attention to the swell of music or to a boom or some kind of an explosion or action, it has more of an impact. So that's part of the reason they're mixing it that way intentionally, the same way that they're mixing the commercials. And I'm sure there's like a laundry list of other reasons, but that's one reason why they're doing, because they don't have to do it. They're doing it it's an intentional thing to draw your attention. They're trying to pace you through and decide what's going to jar your body, give you that adrenaline rush, and then they dial it back, so you have to lean in. It's like, oh, come here, I'm going to tell you a secret. So it's all psychological, and they're getting more of an emotional impact for you. They're getting chemical rises out of people.
Right. Yeah.
This is why we have in-house counsel on this show.
Yes, exactly. And now I finally looked it up again, but there's other reasons too. I'll have a better answer later, but yeah,
Right.
That's good.
Well, I was going to say,
absolutely believe it. Absolutely believe it.
Yeah, one of the other reasons I think is just the switch in acting styles. I think sort of in the 60s and 70s, it became much more naturalistic. People wanted, kind of started with people like Marlon Brando and James Dean, when they were, they weren't using the sort of traditional sort of mid-Atlantic or Midwestern stuff, that very sort of artificial sort of acting style. Oh, darling, no, yes, please come in, that sort of thing. When it was actually more like, hey, what's going on? Yeah, and
I need some dialogue. What's my dialogue?
So, and Manny is right. Manny is right again. One of the secondary reasons they're doing it is that now we have very tiny, tiny, tiny microphones that they're trying to not impede the physical process of the actors, because they want it to be more authentic and natural. And in order to do that, you can't really block them as much. And so they're actually not picking up the same amount. And they're trying to give you this idea that you're immersed, that it's real, that it's not that theatric so think about the shaky cameras that they use, like, oh, you're in a courtroom and you're really there, and oh, this person is mumbling. It's authentic, it's exactly what Manny's talking about. It's like the Biedermeier period in German painting, where it's very mundane, but it's this reality immersion experience is the
Cinema
second.
verite.
Cinema verite.
You guys probably
I don't
remember
get to say anything in my court case.
You guys probably remember George W. Bush and Swinging Dick Cheney. Do you remember those guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How would you ever forget? So during that time was one of
Cheney
the greatest,
drugged a lot.
one of the greatest single TV series ever made in the history of humankind, which is the reboot of Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm saying it. I'm saying it here. It was profound, and it was all shaky cameras and walking into walls and microphones unhooking and hanging and swinging in the middle of the room, almost, not quite, but it was just this kind of like as if somebody had a VHS handheld walking through just mayhem all over the place with really high-end dialogue and really cool special effects. But it was that like, we're just going to walk under her dress between her knees and take a peek and see what they're doing over there. And it was hard to watch in the beginning because you just wanted to throw up all the time, but you got used to it. And now they all do it. So yeah, I guess it's supposed to feel real. But wouldn't you say that really good acting means you don't have to like shake the camera? Shouldn't have to shake the camera.
Unless you're on the sea view.
Unless you're on the sea view. Do you know how Irwin Allen did that on the sea view, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea? So he had a bucket, a metal bucket. And because you notice how they all lean at the same time. You don't hear anything. They just all lean at the same time. He had a metal bucket. He would go bang with a hammer, bang. And they would all suddenly lean to the right. And then the camera would turn to the left. And it looked like the submarine was tilting. And then he might bang it the other way. They just knew, but that's how they all did it at the same time. And of course, that audio is not in there. You just hear boom, and then they all lean. Metal bucket and hammer. Irwin Allen saved so much money for Fox inventing these little tricks.
I don't care what anybody says. I think Irwin Allen was a genius.
Oh, yeah.
He was. Well, Rory, you shared a video of Jonathan Harris, who played Dr. Smith in Lost in Space,
Yes, you're talking about Irwin Allen and
in the 90s. And,
oh, William, the pain.
We weren't there, so we don't know how real it is. And you could tell he's really having fun. Oh, what a strange man, Irwin Allen. Strange. I'd never met anyone like him. Strangest man I ever met. And he called me into his office, and they said, we want you in this new series, Lost in Space. And I said, well, what is it about? He said, well, haven't you read the script? And they said, no, you haven't given me a script. And so he turns to his guy and said, what did he say? He said, you haven't given him a script. Well, give him a script. So they gave me a script, and I looked it over, and I said, well, it's a very interesting character. And Irwin Allen, strange man, a strange little man. He turns and says, do you want the part? And I said, well, I must think about it. And Irwin Allen launches into, you actors suck. You're all not good. You're not good actors. None of you are good actors. And I knew right then I had him in the palm of my hand. It's Jonathan Harris retelling this. Like, oh, really? I want to be there. Can you imagine? Irwin Allen with a big cigar.
And they got a special guest credit.
Yeah, sitting there watching that in front of him. You really think he'd be like, this is great. Yeah, let's go have a steak together. Oh, strange man. You strange man, you.
Strange little man.
Strange little man.
Well,
with a lot of millions of dollars. Millions. Strange little man.
He was only supposed to be in the pilot, but then they loved his performance so much that they wrote him into the rest of the script. In fact, they had to reshoot the pilot so that he would wind up trapped on the Jupiter 2.
What happened was in the original pilot, which did not have the robot or Smith, it was
Right, yeah.
Space Family Robinson. So it was the same Swiss Family Robinson, just screwed, just
Yeah.
lost in space,
The-
you know, being hunted by aliens. Nothing right is happening. It was so dark that the
Yeah.
network sent it back and said, we cannot put this on TV. People are going to shit. We're right in the middle of the Cold War. There is nothing pleasant about this. Everyone feels like this already. Like, you think we're going to get nuked today, honey? I don't know. Let's go wait in the bomb shelter. It was like that. So they needed a foil. They needed to have somebody you could hate. So they got a KGB agent faking to be an American psychiatrist who's going to steal on board, jeopardize the spacecraft, get off just in time, but doesn't. So now they're stuck with him. And the robot added the cool, I mean, greatest robot ever made, really.
Mm-hmm.
And the Netflix remake, very good. Wouldn't you agree?
I liked it.
Yeah. And it was the first LGBTQ plus character that I remember seeing, because, come on, Dr.
I had
Smith
no
was gay.
idea.
Dr.
Isn't that
Smith
weird?
was gay. I mean,
I had no
come on.
idea.
Oh, William. Oh, dear. Oh, you bubble-headed.
He got more
baby.
foppish with time. Yes.
I did not see it at the time. Honestly, I had no idea. I just thought he was like, if you look at Othello out of Shakespeare,
Either British or he's gay. You know, you can hardly, you can't tell, really.
Well, I mean, my friends
Are
all
we getting
know.
a strike?
I never knew.
Sorry.
I never knew. I just thought if you look at Othello, Shakespeare, you'll see it's Dr. Smith. He stole Othello out of Shakespeare. He's doing Othello. Oh, William, may I, wouldst that I step on that corn cob and not slip between the, it's Othello. It's like, great. So that's that's what I heard. I thought, wow, how do you talk like that on TV with everyone else is like Major Don West? Hey, Smith, I'm going to kill you. Oh, Major, how dare you? I mean, it was just so.
Exactly. Yeah. So, anyway.
That was a perfect balance, by the way. Weston.
Yeah. Shut up, Smith. And he hated him in real life. Hated him. Absolutely hated him. Yeah, for real. Have you guys ever seen that famous publicity photo from the Lost in Space 1960? I think it would be the third, probably second or third season in color. And the whole cast is standing there in front of the ship, and they're all smiling. So it's clearly a cast photo. They're not pretending to be on the show. They're just smiling. And Don West is standing behind Marta Kristen. Marta was Judy, the daughter. Right. And you can see a giant leaner poking through his silver pants as he's standing behind her. Oh, yeah, it's notorious. You can look it up. Oh, yeah. He
had a pilot boner?
He was nuts for her. He was obsessed. Oh, yeah. And she never gave it up from him, apparently.
She was pretty hot. Yeah.
Yeah. He's standing behind her, and what are you going to do?
Boing.
Yeah. But it's poking.
Warning.
Silver pants, which means light's reflecting at like 10 different angles.
Has a motor.
Oh, it's okay. Just leave him alone. He's fine.
Yeah, let me handle that.
We'll take care of that. No problem whatsoever.
Come with me, Donald. We'll be back in a moment.
Get away from me. Get away from me, Smith. We really need to get back to the movies. We'll talk about TV shows some other time. Number 5. We're in number 5. We talked about the Terminator last time. So that was my number 5. The original Terminator, not the second one or the third one. I just thought that there was too much budget in those movies. I mean, I like the fact that it's kind of a gritty, low budget, sci-fi movie with practical effects. And and my favorite story is Lance Henriksen saying that he wanted to play the Terminator.
Right, yeah.
And he didn't get it. They had already chosen Schwarzenegger.
Well, yeah.
And, they ended up making him the robot in Aliens, though.
Yes. Well, it's kind of like Rory, you and I were talking about. I'm just outraged that Michael Douglas is playing Ben Franklin on the Apple series. Manny, you got to wrap your head around Michael Douglas playing Ben Franklin. Now, Michael Douglas, not overweight. They have him in a fat suit, so he's got a skinny face, playing Ben Franklin with a bald and the hair down to here, and the spectacles, and it's Michael Douglas, and it just is
Like
not
Michael Douglas.
Yeah, it looks like Michael Douglas and talks like Michael Douglas, and has that kind of humor of Michael Douglas and sarcasm and those smiles suddenly in the middle of a sentence that Michael Douglas does because he's being witty. And Franklin, well, you just have to read Ben Franklin, totally different vibe. So we were thinking other projects for Michael Douglas. He should play Albert Einstein, right?
I can see that. Yeah.
Can't you see that?
I can see that.
You thought Rory Toulouse-Lautrec?
Toulouse-Lautrec would have been a good one for him.
Yes.
Dracula.
I think Martha Washington. While you're at it, why not?
There you go.
Michael Douglas.
You had one that was even better than that.
I mean, who can? It's like, oh well, his name. People are gonna definitely. They're gonna buy Apple because Michael Douglas is playing Ben Franklin. I was curious, just curious. Not like I wouldn't pay a penny. I'm just like, it's like Michael Douglas as Liberace. What? Seriously? Oh yeah. He's gonna play Liberace. Why? Well.
It's Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas. But why Liberace? Why him? Like, of all the...
Andrew Robinson played Liberace in a TV movie once. I thought that was good casting.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather see...
I can see that.
I'd rather see Russell Crowe play Liberace. That would be more believable to me.
That would be awesome.
It'd be more believable,
Ben
wouldn't
Franklin
it?
now.
Yeah. Like Michael Douglas as Liberace. Okay, let me.
But you had the best one. You said Martin Luther King Jr.
Oh yeah, Martin Luther King Jr. Let's just go for it. Haven't played Martin Luther King Jr. And we're all gonna pretend like it's perfectly normal. It's smart. It's Michael
and
Douglas.
not even in blackface. Just
not
Michael
even
Douglas.
in blackface. No, just you're supposed
put the
to
glasses.
know.
Oh wait, no.
Yeah, and then smiling in the middle of the speeches, like time to applause. Like, wasn't that clever? Like Dr. King did, smiling all the time during his speeches. Okay, I think we should make a recommendation there because we can expand his career for at least another 10 years.
Casting directors need to watch the show, giving them great ideas. So there you go.
Manny, what was your number 5?
Actually, my number 5 was The Day the Earth Stood Still, which we already talked about.
Yeah.
Great movie. Michael Rennie, Patricia
Neal.
Patricia Neal, thank you.
Wife to Roald Dahl.
Yeah, and Sam Jaffe as the sort of Einsteinian professor. It's the great cast, great anti-war movie. The one thing though, we're talking about The Abyss having that same sort of vibe is, you have these aliens, okay, or these other beings, these superior beings coming in and saying, all right, you naughty humans, you just stop trying to destroy each other or we'll do it for you. It's like, okay, you don't want us to commit genocide against each other. So, and if we don't, then you'll commit genocide against us. Okay, I guess that works. I don't know. It just seems almost a little hypocritical. That they're
Good
against
point.
genocide, but we'll commit genocide. Just to
we'll speed things up a bit,
just to prove a point.
And we'll come and take your resources.
That's a good point. It's a very good
stop
point.
killing yourselves. We'll do it for you. It's like
it's kind of like that whole King Kong thing where they build a fence to keep him out, but then they make a gate big enough for him to get through.
Exactly.
It's like, wait a
Well,
minute.
Where's the logic in that?
Let's explore this conundrum here, which is you're so bad for killing somebody, for doing so much genocide that we're going to genocide you. But I guess that stops the genocide, which is kind of the point. Like you could do nothing, like has happened forever. Just leave the humans alone to just blow shit up and kill each other, and we'll just sit and do nothing. Or we decide we've had enough, and we're just gonna snuff you bastards if you can't play nice. So,
or it could
they're
be,
bluffing.
or it could be, or
They're bluffing.
yeah, or it could be a metaphor for what's going on for time.
They're
Gort,
just trying to
not real.
scare us.
Well, no, I was going to say it could be a metaphor for mutually what was it, something mutual destruction,
Mutually assured destruction.
mutually assured, yeah, mad. I mean, that was a thing in the 50s. I mean, that was a thing. The whole arms race was predicated on this idea that, okay, we have arms so horrible that we could destroy each other, that maybe we shouldn't, so maybe that's what Klaatu and the underwater aliens were meant to represent. Just the idea of the stalemate of, we have so many weapons that can wipe each other out, that maybe it's not a good idea that we do. So,
well, maybe when he first came here, they were just going to zap us all anyway. But again, when he gets sidetracked and he meets Patricia Neal, and he sees, the Lincoln Memorial and all that, and he realizes that there's good people here as well as bad people, then it's bluffing time. Okay.
But after he's been shot. Because they shot him right up front, just to let him know that we mean no harm.
yeah. We come in peace, shoot to kill, shoot to kill.
Well, there's this deeper moment of, is it okay to do genocide on genociders? Does that cure the problem? Yeah, it does cure the problem. Because you
kill the genocidees.
But then you have the next level of now surviving genociders. Does somebody come after them?
Right, exactly.
Well, we're seeing that you're killing planets, and we can't.
we can't have that. Yeah.
Coring apples.
We're the police of the police.
That's the line.
Yeah. And also, the day the Earth stood still launched probably one of the most memorable and just geeky phrases ever in Klaatu Nikto Barada, which has been just
Klaatu Barada Nikto, yeah.
Yeah, Klaatu Barada Nikto.
Used in all kinds of things.
Garner used it in the Rockford Files.
Yeah.
They used
To
it in
really
Army of
insult
Darkness
somebody,
too.
they were just threatening the shit out of him, and he said Klaatu Barada Nikto, and turned around and walked out. It was just great.
Yeah. Star Wars, one of the bounty hunters in Empire Strikes Back is named Barada, I believe. So yeah, it's referenced. It's just referenced everywhere. I'm sure every
one of them is named Klaatu as well.
Yeah. So I just Klaatu Barada Nikto. I was for some reason.
I forgot to say earlier too that I hated the remake of the Time Machine with the cow Morlocks with the cow heads. What the hell was that?
Is that Guy
Ritchie? With Guy Pearce?
Yes, Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
It was just wrong.
They were just, I'm not sure if it's that the studios are filled with 23-year-olds now, which we like 23-year-olds. They believe in climate change. They're awesome. But if they haven't really read the book, which a lot of them don't have to in the studios, don't have to read the book, maybe see the original once, and then they can just make it all the better. I think that's kind of what it is, kind of make it fit, except it ruins it because it's kind of, you miss the point.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And, it tried to create a time machine that felt old timey, like 1895. But the one with George Pal, that was cool. That one you believed,
One of my favorite episodes of Big Bang Theory is when Sheldon buys the model, the time machine model. You know, the actual, and it's in the living room. It's just this huge thing, but it looks so freaking cool.
It's the real one.
It's the real one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the one from Time After Time with Malcolm McDowell,
Yeah.
that was just awful looking. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
Agreed.
that didn't look Victorian at all. But it's still a great
Just
movie.
drive it like this.
Yeah, yeah. But David,
There's no room for you in here, but come with me.
yeah. But David, what's his name? The British actor.
David Warner.
David Warner as Jack the Ripper. Great. So that was a fun movie. That was a really fun movie.
McDougal's.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I get a Big Mac and tea? Pommes frites. Yeah. So, anywho.
All right. So that's the 5 honorable
That's the
mentions.
5. Well, one of mine is a movie called Gattaca.
Oh yes.
Okay.
With Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman, Jude Law,
Gore Vidal.
Gore Vidal, yeah. So I was like, wow, it's Gore Vidal. I didn't know he could act. Great
He helped
movie
write it.
about. Well, I can see that. Yeah. I didn't remember the writing credits, but great idea. Again, looking forward, and talking about genetics and how we can manipulate genetics and how important that's going to be, and in creating these sort of perfect people, and Ethan Hawke trying to who desperately wants to go to Venus, no, not Venus, Jupiter or whatever, go into space, but he can't because he's a genetic defect or whatever, he has a heart condition, and so he gets involved with Jude Law, who was one of these perfect people, but he got into an accident, presumably, and so helps him fake his way through this job so he can get on the ship. Just and then it becomes this murder mystery, and we've got what's the wonderful actor? He passed away just a few years ago. We talked about him he usually does comedies. God, why am I blanking on his name? Heart's Lonely Hunter.
Alan Arkin.
Russian
Alan
Spy.
Arkin.
Alan Arkin. Thank you. He's in it as a police detective.
Oh, he's a police detective, is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he's got
Alan
the
Arkin.
fedora and everything. It's like very. It's like all of a sudden it's the future, but it has this sort of. He's wearing like 1930s detective clothes. I thought it was kind of cool. But anyway, so just another a great concept, and it's a really good movie. Didn't quite make my top 5, but still very, very good.
Well, we are in the golden age of television, and it's hard almost to cut out to differentiate between television and film anymore. And I think there's a whole generation that probably thinks it's all the same thing, and should. Movies are now in the theater for 1 week, and then they start streaming along with all the TV shows. So what's the real difference? Except that the TV is maybe in a series of 8 episodes, whereas a movie is just a single product, but it's kind of all the same thing now.
Yeah, in China they call television shows movies. They do it all the time. Yeah.
Well, should I give some more?
I'll say one.
Somebody else. Yeah, Planet of the Apes. Yeah, that's one of mine.
Yeah, the original with Chuck Heston, 1969.
Oh yeah.
They progressively got kind of lower budget as they went along, We did get Paul Williams as an ape in the last one, which was kind of interesting. But the first one just again very impactful, and again the twist ending is great. And how did they get Maurice Evans to play an ape? You might not like what you'll find.
And here's another one with the Planet of the Apes, the original. So again, we're going to assume that people watching this stream will have seen the original from 67,
69.
probably
68.
69.
68.
That they will 68, whatever. They will have seen that, or they're old enough to have seen that. If not, it was quite something. But here's getting back to Irwin Allen. Now, what does Irwin Allen have to do with this movie? Everything. Everything. So it's a 20th Century Fox movie. When you listen to the spaceship that is in Planet of the Apes, it's all of the sound effects from Lost in Space, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and the Time Tunnel. They're all in there. Not one original sound effect, including the sound of the Jupiter 2 taking off and landing. They did a mix of a bunch of different sounds, but it's all Irwin Allen TV shows in Planet of the Apes movie. Every sound effect, all of it. So Fox learned well from him, repurpose. And when you're there, he is a young Irwin Allen, a very strange man, very
strange little man. Yes, he went on to do movies about disaster. Who?
You think?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
The
20th Century Fox
thing.
again.
Airport.
No, that
Towering
was
Inferno.
Towering Inferno and Poseidon Adventure.
Poseidon Adventure.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I think was Earthquake one of his movies?
I thought so too.
I don't think so.
I don't know. There was that whole period where it was just,
he did a made for TV movie in the late 60s called City Beneath the Sea, which you guys probably never saw. It was, probably ABC, which is I think his big affiliate. Well, he was with all of them really except NBC. And it was he repurposed everything from all it came out after his series had all run dry. So no more Lost in Space, no more Land of the Giants, no more Time Tunnel, no more Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. So
Land of the Giants.
City Beneath the Sea is an underwater city in the future, and you're looking through the glass window. So it's 1972, I think. So now we're wearing turtlenecks, big wide lapels, comb overs, totally different look. Kind of like when we saw Star Trek, the motion picture, and we were like, oh my God, that's disgusting. Remember the costumes?
Yeah, those costumes were
Shatner
horrible.
has an afro. Like, what happened? Yeah, what happened? And so
everything went beige.
Yeah, I didn't like the fact that they didn't have any zipper. How are we gonna pee? Oh my!
So the in City Beneath the Sea, you're in this big. It's not a control room, but it's the CEO or the whoever the head of the community is, the Walt Disney of Disney World, if you will. And he's sitting there, and it's one of these famous 1970s actors who was kind of a leading man, like kind of guy. And you look through the window, and you're looking at the City Beneath the Sea, and you see the Jupiter 2 sitting on top of a pedestal. It's obviously supposed to be a building of some sort, a dwelling. You see the Spindrift way back. You see literally all the models of all the spaceships, literally repurposing everything you could cannibalize. Yeah, they cannibalized all of the sets and put them underwater as this City Beneath the Sea. I have a copy of it.
Yeah, I have a vague memory of seeing that. Yeah.
It's wonderful. And the sound effects, every time a door opens, it does do you remember when something would appear and disappear on Lost in Space? That sound effect? It'd be that. The door opens and closes with that. Every sound effect. And it's like, clearly they knew Alan was smart. He knew he was drawing on the nostalgia thing because we see all of our favorite iconic things. We get to hear our sound effects. the script writing sucks. Can't. It's just horrible. It's just so weak.
The guy
1970.
that wrote the Carrot episode.
Yeah. Hey, buddy. Hey, what are we gonna do, Commander? Well, let's take the submarine. It's the flying sub. They're using the flying sub. They're in that flying sub. But this guy with the turtleneck and the white suit, and you know exactly what you're sitting around in. So it was one of these brilliant nostalgic conceit models that I think really touched the fans. But it was so bad that you're yawning, Rory. You're yawning.
The script was so bad.
So bad. Rory, your eyes went white in the back of your head there for a second. I saw a little foam coming out. Yeah, it was something.
It was, yeah.
Well, maybe that's the end of this show. Maybe that's what that means when Rory is like, I'm done. I'm going into a coma.
Ouch.
I want to mention one more movie from the 70s as one of my honorable mentions. I had several, but yeah, we can wrap this up. The Andromeda Strain.
Oh, yeah.
With Arthur Hill and a lot of other.
Doohan.
No, Doohan wasn't in it.
Doohan was in it. He's one of the guys that gets killed. Yeah.
Really?
He's just not doing Scotty, you know.
Oh, at the beginning, the guys in the van.
They sent a team in.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
He's one of the guys that gets killed.
Okay. Wow. I didn't even realize. I didn't recognize him. I just didn't recognize it. But yeah, based on a book written by Michael Crichton, went on to write another book. Kind of became this minor little thing called Jurassic Park, and some other things like The Terminal Man and so on. But yeah, another and directed by Robert Wise, who we already talked about. Who directed? Who directed?
He loves pointing that out.
Stay There, Stood Still, and Star Trek: The Motion
Sound
Picture
of
with the
Music.
beige uniforms.
Another one of his gay
and Sound of
films.
Music. Very, very gay. Yeah.
Day the Earth Stood Still, not a gay film.
No.
And a bunch of
you don't think
movies.
You don't think Gort was doing Klaatu? Come on now.
I don't know.
That spaceship for God knows how long
can.
they're traveling from planet to planet.
Oil can.
Perfect.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I got a list here. Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back, those two films. E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
Aliens can be nice. They don't have to be mean and nasty. RoboCop. You talk about some commentary there about our world, what's going to become. The Fly with Jeff Goldblum.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Forbidden Planet again with the id monster. Man, Can you imagine being a kid going into the theater to see that movie back in the mid-50s? I bet that was the Star Wars of its day.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And you mentioned Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
That ushered us into the era of CGI monsters.
Yeah.
And John Williams.
Also, Jeff
like
Goldblum.
you put John Williams in there, it's going to work.
And John Williams. Yeah.
It's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, a lot of those have John Williams.
In Jurassic Park, they wanted to do stop motion animation for the dinosaurs, and then they invented something called Go Motion, which was like rod puppets and stuff, which they did for The Empire Strikes Back. But one of the effects guys who was into computers, was doing it, said, "Let me try and do a completely digital dinosaur." And they were like, yeah, well, all right, well, yeah, go ahead. And so he did, and he created this model, this T-Rex model. And when he showed them to Spielberg and to everybody else, they were gobsmacked. They were like, "You did that on a computer?" And it was just the one thing, and he did a walking cycle. And they said, "Yeah." And it's like, okay, here's some money, do some more. We're going to split it up between you and Stan Winston doing the practical effects,
right?
Who had already was working on did an actual giant, did a T-Rex, which kept getting waterlogged because it wasn't waterproof. So when they did the scene in the rain where it first attacks, they had to keep stopping because the thing was full of water and wouldn't move, and so they had to, cut around that and all that stuff. But I also want to mention uh, the OG sci-fi movie. I think the one that really started it all, that we really should bow to, and that's Metropolis. Fritz Lang,
Yeah.
1920s. I mean, how many movies have made reference to Metropolis? The
Yeah.
robot, mad scientists, the class struggle, the
AI.
whole
Is that
thing.
me?
I mean,
Did I?
AI.
That's what it is.
So
All those
Metropolis.
robots today are just called AI.
Yeah. So, and AI as well. So, anyway, all right. Renee, you have anything else to add? Anything? Did you?
No, just that he's apparently hot. Look at that. I think that's he's got
There
that
you
Bill
go.
Gates sort of
Strange little
angle.
man.
Strange little
He's a
man.
nerd.
He's a nerd.
Exactly.
And I will say that the remake of The Time Machine was hilarious unintentionally. It was like the funniest thing I've ever. Like the fiance kept getting run over by the carriage no matter what he did, and it was like almost comedic at the end. Like, damn it, I can't leave her alone for a second. And she get like run over again. And I'm like, this is not the spirit of The Time Machine. Come on.
No, and also was
So
it Guy
goofy.
Ritchie? Was he playing the lead?
Yes.
Guy Pearce.
Was Guy Ritchie playing the lead? Guy Pearce. They should have just put him in a thong or something.
I know.
Like,
seriously. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. It was awful.
You're thinking of him from Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Something, but you got to be believable as a scientist. Actually, they should have had Michael Douglas.
Yes. Can we do another remake of
a remake of The Time Machine with Michael Douglas?
What?
Was Carl Malden still alive then? Could have had him as one of the guys.
Oh, and Michael Douglas.
You got a time machine.
Journey to the Center of the Earth.
There you go.
You could play Professor whatever.
Yeah.
Journey to the Center of the Earth with James Mason.
James Mason.
The original one.
Yes.
Yeah. And
there's the 3 marks, lads. Let's go.
Yeah.
And he was also Captain Nemo, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yes. Our favorite Captain Nemo.
Yes.
But I always say, why the hell did they go with Pat Boone?
Pat Boone. I know. That's what I was trying to remember.
Elvis was at the top of his game at that time, man.
He was because he was a popular singer, and so it was just
much better.
But remember, this is the 1950s. This is Irwin Allen. Once again, he's somewhere in there going, this guy's got a hit album. All he has to do is sing. And Bernard Herrmann had to write the song. And it's not a bad song, but Bernard Herrmann he had to write a love song. And
I'm not working with that Elvis guy.
The thing is, it was not a bad song, but Pat Boone singing it made it just gross. It was like, that somebody's daughter is getting diddled with a couple of fingers in the corner. It's got that gross white box.
Bunny.
The love song.
Oh man, look at them giant mushrooms, baby. Red Sonny, bring some of these home, man. He would have been great. Look at them giant dinosaurs, man. I'm tripping.
Can you imagine Elvis on the ground?
Elvis would have been great at it.
Yeah, he would have.
That would have been an entirely different movie.
Elvis, come lad.
Oh my God. Speaking of, one last thing. Speaking of Planet of the Apes, I really like the not the Tim Burton remake. That was awful. But the new ones, the Matt Reeves directed ones. Rise of the Planet of the Apes and all those. I think those are really, really good as far as if you're going to remake Planet of the Apes. It's got a very different vibe, and it kind of try to make it a little bit more realistic. This whole idea of apes, of intelligent apes. So I just had to throw that in.
Okay.
So, all right, Miss Renee.
But I like those ape makeups, man, back in the 60s and 70s.
Oh yeah, John Chambers. Yeah, John Chambers started off doing prosthetics for returning World War II veterans and I think or Korean War veterans, and that's how he learned how to reconstruct, the faces and everything. And Edward G. Robinson was originally going to play Dr. Zaius, by the way.
Right.
So for those
But he
who
didn't like the
didn't know
makeup.
that, but he didn't. Yeah, and the original makeup was really funky looking anyway. I mean, they tried to maintain a lot more of the human, which I'm glad they revised that and made it really more ape like. So anyway.
So yeah, comedian Dana Gould now is playing Dr. Zaius. He has his own talk show on social
Wow.
media now, where he's the host and he tells all these terrible
As
stories
Dr.
about the
Zaius?
60s and 70s and who he screwed over and who screwed him
Oh
over. And
Oh my goodness.
funny stuff.
All right, so next week.
Yes. What is next week?
So next week on the show, we're going to be talking about actor, director, producer, or whatever, Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller.
Ben
Okay.
Stiller. Yes, we've been talking about him for a while, and so I thought, yeah, Ben Stiller sounds like a good choice.
All right.
I think Michael Douglas is a better choice for that role, but it's okay.
It's more fun talking about the roles that Michael Douglas could have had.
Yes.
Eleanor Roosevelt.
There you go.
Eleanor Roosevelt, you make it.
Eleanor Roosevelt. Yes, perfect.
Thor.
Abe Lincoln.
Abe
Thor.
Lincoln. Thor. Yes.
Lincoln, yeah.
Al Gore, is that what you said?
Al Gore.
Michael Douglas in the Al Gore story.
Or it's Richard Nixon. That would be the coup d'etat.
There you go. With Catherine Zeta-Jones playing Kat.
I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah. All right, Renee, let's play us out.
All right, I'm gonna play you out. I just want to say this, that when the three of you get together, it's hilarious. Like, I just love it. I'm back here cracking up the whole time. It's just very funny. You guys have a good rapport. I like it. So I just want to let you know. Thank you for entertaining me and everyone else. But you
Well,
guys
we'll have
are
to do
very
this.
funny together. Very knowledgeable. I just love it. You guys
We'll
are
have to
adorable.
do this again. We'll have to do this again. Definitely have Carry on again.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. All right, so next week,
Carry on.
All right, here we go. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for watching this episode of Two Guys and Sometimes a Gal Talking About Movies. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to get future episodes.